All right, a moonless week of stargazing, and I'm here to tell you all about it. Welcome to the American Space Museum. I'm Stargazer Mark, and we're so glad you're with us today to stay star curious. As every Monday, we're going to do Skies of the Week, a simple thing from your backyard to see what's going on in this awesome universe ahead above us. And this weekend, you might be able to see pieces of the Halley's Comet as we have the Eta Aquariid meteor shower will be on full display. And we also going to be hard to see any planets this week. I'll tell you about that in a second as we do a planetary roundup. But one of the most unmistakable constellations that's been around for, like I said, 700 centuries. Leo the Lion takes center stage. And here behind me, we see this bright star right there, Arcturus, the third brightest star of the sky. We talked about that last week as that star's light lit up the World's Fair in Chicago in 1930 something, I believe, right after the Depression. And the Big Dipper's right off the side there, way over there. So above us is Leo the Lion, and we're going to talk about that today. And great to have Marty Winkle on the board today as we do a little bit of staying star curious today. So let's kick it off with our logo. And there's our Stargazing logo there. Please tell people that we have done over 700 episodes of our 1,036 episodes now. Over 700 of them are on YouTube. The rest of them are on Facebook. And tell your friends that we get space astronomy and astronaut news like nobody else. So let's find out where the planets are this week, Marty. All 7 planets are sort of near the sun and hard to see. None of them is really easy. In fact, the easiest one to see is going to be Jupiter in the evening twilight. But the dawn has some 2 planets, Mars and Mercury and Saturn, that you can see about an hour before sunrise. All right, this is dawn on the 27th. Saturn and Mars are getting further away from each other as they climb higher into the sky as the Earth is moving around the sun. You can see both of these with the naked eye, and if you're an early morning riser, Saturn will definitely be brighter and yellowish, where Mars will be a little bit fainter and obviously red. But Mercury, Venus, and Neptune are completely hidden in the solar glare. And Jupiter, like I said, is very low in the west after sunset, and catch it in binoculars. And Uranus is also close to Jupiter in the evening twilight. So that'll all change this fall when we'll have Jupiter, Saturn, and Mars in our evening sky and enjoy seeing them. But the real showstopper of the season is Regulus up there. I mean, Leo the Lion, you see the star Regulus at the very top. That is the brightest star in Leo the Lion. And we'll talk about that here in a second, but let me go through the week a little bit. The moon is at last quarter on Tuesday. It rises around 2 or 3 a.m., depending where you live. And it's in southern Capricornus, the sea goat. And the moment of first quarter, 7:27 a.m. Wednesday. And many of you going to work at 9:10 in the morning will look at the beautiful blue sky in the south and see the moon up there in last quarter. Very familiar morning sky moon when it is at this phase. So it will keep getting more crescent and more crescent. And in fact, by the end of the week, it will be near Saturn and Mars in the morning sky. The brightest star in the sky that we think of a winter star, Sirius, is that really, really bright star in the southwest after sunset. And we've already lost Orion, and you still got Taurus the Bull hanging in there, and Gemini the Twins. But about an hour after sunset, they're all gone, along with it the brightest star, Sirius. So it's always fun to see how late in the spring you can see Sirius. But like I said, Jupiter's a goner. Get your last looks at it. And then this weekend, the Eta Aquariid meteor shower, which is bits of rubble strewn debris from Halley's Comet in its orbit, will be on display. And this is one of the best meteor displays for the southern hemisphere. And I heard from our Australian buddy Cliff Watson. He's back home in Pomona, Australia, Marty, after about a month in the States. And we enjoyed having Cliff around the museum and on the Space Coast during the total eclipse of the sun that is now 2 weeks behind everybody here. So if you have some time and it's warm enough, get outside this weekend, catch a little starlight, and you might catch some meteors of the Eta Aquariid meteor shower, bits of Halley's Comet. Halley's Comet, of course, won't be coming around again until I forget the date. It's about another 25 years. Hopefully I'll be around to see it. But these bits of Halley's Comet are strewn around its orbit, and we plow through it like your car going through a bunch of insects over a bridge or something and hitting your windshield. Well, that's exactly what's happening when you see some meteors here. So, well, let's look at Leo the lion. Here is one of the Uranometria is a very famous catalog from the 17 and 1800s, and they stylized all of the constellations, though the stars are accurately placed according to the longitude and latitude of the night sky, which is called declination for the latitude and right ascension for the longitude. But this constellation has been a roaring lion in the night for centuries. Of the 88 constellations, none has been more idolized than Leo the lion, even more so than Orion the hunter. And you have the bright first magnitude star Regulus that makes up a very noticeable star that draws you to the sky. Now, if you go out at 9 o'clock at night and look to the south, all right, that's away from the the Big Dipper that's in the north. Look to the south, you will see the distinctive pattern of Leo the lion. That pattern, as pointed out by the Big Dipper, about 3/5 in the direction, you definitely see a backward question mark and a right triangle. The right triangle is the hindquarters of the lion. The backward question mark is its mane. It was called a sickle or scythe to cut down hay and other weeds and such. But here in a quarter way through the 21st century, I don't think too many people know what a sickle or a scythe is. So we'll go with the backward question mark. Regulus means regal one in star. And the brightest star at the end, right here, of the triangle is called Denebula. Let's look at the names of those stars. Denebula is an Arabic word that means tail of the lion. This is what's interesting about our constellations, is they're mostly named after Greek and Roman mythological creatures. Leo the lion, okay, Orion the hunter, and so on and so forth. Of course, Leo is one of 12 zodiac constellations, where the menagerie of animals and Libra, the scales, are where the planets are found. The bright star Regulus can be translated to heart of the king. The great astronomer Nicholas Copernicus wanted to name it Rex. Regulus is the 20th brightest star in the sky. It has a distinct yellowish appeal to it. But like I was saying, the constellations are named after Greek and Roman figures of mythology. The stars have a lot of Arabic names to them, all right? As you see, Algeba, Zosma, Denebula, Regulus, all right? Rasilis, okay? A lot of stars begin with El or Al, a prefix in the Arabic world, as the Arabic astronomers were the first ones to chart it among the skies there. So Leo has been revered through antiquity because it was realized that the sun was at its height in the summer solstice around June 21st. It is inside the confines of Leo. Therefore, that's where the astrology comes from, where when you were born and where the sun is in the sky, daytime sky, what constellation, that is associated with your birth constellation in astrology. Well, Leo is July 22nd to 21st, and it has the characteristics of being bold and brave. And of course, there's just so many accounts of lions around the world in ancient culture. Crouched felines can be found in ancient baths and pools and waterways, and lots of historical documents like the Bible are filled with lions. There's even a mythological lion that Hercules slayed, okay, in there. So it's a fun constellation to find, easy to remember. Again, we look back at the stylized versions of it there. You see the rear end of it is the triangle, the hindquarters, and the backward question mark dotted by Regulus. The regal star is very prominent in the sky. And Leo plays a prominent role in the Star of Bethlehem story, as the two brightest planets, Venus and Jupiter, actually merged as one star near Regulus at about 4 BC, one of the signs in the sky that maybe the wise men saw for the Christmas story. Well, what is most interesting to astronomers in your backyard is that Leo and the whole night sky that we're looking at now is like looking out into the universe, okay? In the summer, when we look up at the sky, we're looking into our own Milky Way galaxy. That's why we see part of the arm across our sky, and looking south, we're looking in the heart of the Milky Way. Not in the springtime. We're actually looking out away from the galaxy and into a dark region of our sky in the universe that's filled with other galaxies. We can't see all these galaxies because of all the stars in the summertime. But as we're looking out away from our Milky Way galaxy, we're looking sort of like out the rear view window of a car away from our direction of travel. And these M objects, M105, M95, M96, M66, M65, these are celestial wonders in the sky that you can see with binoculars like this or with your telescope. And these are the faint fuzzies, astronomers call them, that we bag and have fun capturing, these Messier objects. There was an astronomer called Charles Messier, and he was looking for comets, and he kept coming across these objects and that looked like fuzzy comets, but they didn't move. So they were stationary. He had no idea what they were. So he cataloged them and had about 110 different objects in this catalog. And these are the what every new astronomer gets turned on to is finding the Messier list. And springtime is the time to find them all. So, but in a telescope, they can look incredible. So here are M105, no, this is M66 and M65, right in the hindquarters of the triangle of Leo the lion, and with some photographic skills that my friend Mark Poole has here in India Atlantic, just about 30 miles south of us here on the Space Coast. He lives off the Pacific or Atlantic Ocean and has photographed things in his backyard, and this is called the Leo triplet. And you've got M65 and 66, and then over far left is another galaxy that has another designation of the new general catalogs, what NGC stands for. And that one on the left is also called the Hamburger Galaxy. All right, and let's read a little bit about what Mark Poole photographed here. Is these edge on is the Hamburger Galaxy on the left. As you can see why it's like a layered sandwich there. We are looking at 35 million light years away. So the light that left this, that we're capturing in our telescopes and in our CCD cameras like Mark Poole did here, left 35 million years ago. All right. 65 million years ago, we had dinosaurs on Earth. So this is about halfway through that. So it's just interesting to find these objects. They don't look much in a telescope or binoculars, just faint fuzzy with irregular patterns to them, but nonetheless they're fun to find only through photography. And this is like 51 90-second images stacked is how they do it. Mark took a minute and a half exposure, and he did it 50 times, and then they put them all together to get this beautiful image of galaxies far, far away. So when you're looking at Leo, you look underneath that triangle of stars. This is what you could see there. Now, at the other end of Leo are two other galaxies. They're the M96 and 95 is what we're going to look at here. And these are also 30 million light years away or more. And they have some composition to them there. Now, this is sort of low power. You can see these a little bit bigger in telescopes and see some of the detail a little bit of the faint spiral arms of these two galaxies. These spiral galaxies each contain 100 billion stars like our own galaxy, and each is about 100,000 to 60,000 light years across, all right? But again, we're looking at light that left these galaxies 33 million years ago and is now hitting our eyes. It's so incredible to look up at the sky and think about that as we stay star curious in these spring skies here. So Leo the lion, really something to see. Let me show you another look at Leo here. There we go. The way you remember it there, looking up at the sky. The backward question mark dotted by Regulus, and then the back hindquarters of it being the equilateral triangle. I mean, not equilateral, it's a right triangle with the nebula, the tail at the bottom, Zousma, another star. Zousma, that's a good name for a cat or a dog, I think. Algebra, all these stars have names, and you can download star books about them, star charts, or go to the library and check these out. After all, the sky never changes, all right? Somebody asked me one time, how often do the constellations change? Millions of years it takes for us to see any of these patterns start to change, all right? Even though these stars are millions of light years away and are moving at thousands of miles a second through space, it's incredible to think that they do not change their perspective in the history of human kind, at least the last 7,000 to 10,000 years since we be charting them. So go out with your naked eye and look at Leo the lion and look at the character that it represents. If you have a telescope or binoculars, move around with a star chart to where you can see some of those galaxies. Take the time to peer into Leo, and you will be looking at galaxies far, far away. So hope that you enjoyed this edition of Staying Star Curious, as this week in space doesn't offer a lot of planets, but because the moon is not in the sky, we can see the constellations as the best we can see them without moonlight. So go out there and get you a little starshine. So until next time, I'm Marquette saying I can't wait to see you under the skies to bridge the space between us. Let's get back to some viewing.